warm welcome to the news at this hour on NT International. I'm Elizabeth Omori. Now let's take the headlines. President Buhari meets with Nigeria Union of Teachers leadership, pledges to engage more qualified teachers to enhance teaching and learning. House of Representatives moved to put on hold upward review of electricity tariff. Plus, all is set for the 2020 Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, reports just reaching us say that Supreme Court has set aside the election of Governor Emeka Ihedioha of Imo State, orders INEC to issue a certificate of return to Hope Uzodinma of the APC as the duly elected governor. Details of this report will come in our subsequent bulletin. Moving on to education now, the federal government has again restated its determination to ensure that education takes the front burner. As President Muhammadu Buhari this Tuesday said, government is ready to engage more qualified teachers to increase the teacher-to-pupil rate in the country. This is when the president gave audience to members of the Nigeria Union of Teachers. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
This move is to further address the deficit of teachers in primary schools across the country, which the administration is addressing through Empower Teach Volunteers scheme under the National Social Investment Program. President Muhammadu Buhari says by the program, government aims to enhance the quality of students moving to secondary schools, and the president calls for support of the program and to encourage as many qualified and willing graduates to enroll in the teaching profession.
Almost every day, Nigerians are inventing new products or improving existing ones. It is therefore our collective duty to continue to encourage and cultivate these minds by increasing the resources available for research and development and improving their work environment.
The president notes that teachers are the architects shaping the minds of young Nigerians who are making waves in the country and around the globe.
Key here was identify with your numerous groundbreaking strides.
Leader of the delegation, Mohammed Idris, says teachers in the country identify with giant strides of government, appeals for presidential assent to bill on teachers' retirement age and the teachers' special salary structure, among others.
The ugly trend has gone so bad that the situation where some primary schools in the country have only a teacher. This anomaly must be checked and corrected if our schools are to be worth the assault.
And also, sir, I would like to, in your presence, thank them very much for the support they have extended to my ministry for the professionalizing of the profession. And the deadline was on 31st December, and at the end of the month, we'll start enforcement.
In the State House, Jide Onifade, NJ News.
Still on education, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board JAM has suspended the Unified Payment System, one of its online payment system platforms, for charging above the stipulated amount for e-registration of 2020 UTME and direct entry for direct entry candidates. Olayin Kaujo reports.
The situation at one of the UTME online registration center at Buhari, where vendors of one of the online payment platforms were apprehended for allegedly charging candidates above the stipulated amount of 4,000 naira.
They collected 4,500 from me this morning.
This man came to us and said we should come outside to pay 4,500 for the registration.
I create email for you. Sometimes you will tell me you want, sometimes the student, the candidate will tell me he wants to verify some things to check the school that have been accredited and the rest. So for me to do those ones, apart from the 4,000 naira, charges must be added to it, because if I finish, I print out something under that platform.
Of the actual amount, 3,000 naira is meant for e-registration out of which the sum of 210 naira is paid as commission to the online platforms per candidate, and the remaining 500 naira is for the reading materials.
The essence of the sacrifice that we fulfilled out of our 3,500 naira was to ensure that no candidate is exploited. Selling anything outside the prescribed price is unlawful, is unacceptable, and because of that, as we speak now, unified payment system has been suspended, and whatever deposit that they've given with JAM will be confiscated.
Aside suspending airing online payment platforms, JAM wants prospective candidates not to patronize tutorial centers for the purchase of e-PIN for registration, as any candidate that does so is at the risk of disqualification from sitting for the 2020 UTME. Olainka Uju, NTA News.
And away from education, arrangements are on top gear for the 2020 Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration. During dia earlier was the Eagle Square to ascertain the level of preparedness for the celebration.
Here at the Eagle Square venue of the 2020 Armed Forces Remembrance Day, and as it is, arrangements are in top gears. The people here are just putting finishing touches to the arrangements here. Earlier I told you that most of the people that are supposed to put in place the various equipment for this event are already on ground, and as it is, they've scaled up that activities. As it is now, one side of the road leading to the Eagle Square has already been cordoned off, and that is just to tell you part of the security measures that has been put in place. If you can look behind me also, you see some uniformed men who are here to inspect the environment, also ensure each feel free celebration. You will recall that the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces sometimes last year launched the emblem which is for the appeal fund for the fallen heroes, and all of this is to encourage those that are serving, as well as encourage the families of these fallen heroes who paid the supreme price to keep the nation together. Quickly, let me also tell you some of the activities that you will be seeing tomorrow. First, let me start with the release of the pigeon, which symbolizes peace and unity in the country, and that will be performed by the Commander-in-Chief himself, President Muhammadu Buhari. Thereafter, he will be laying the wreath. He will not just be doing that. Some top government functionaries and family members of some of the fallen heroes will also be laying the wreath. Aside from that, we also have the 21 gun salute, which is to recognize the efforts of these fallen heroes. And finally, the president will be signing the register, which will climax the event.
Doing dear there on the level of preparedness for the Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration. Now to the judiciary. Based on the Supreme Court's judgment of December 23, 2019, which disqualified Uche Nwosu of Action Alliance from being a candidate of the political party, Nwosu's counsel has told the court that his client has withdrawn his appeal. The Apex Court subsequently dismissed the appeal. Judiciary correspondent Femi Okewo has an update on the hearing of other governorship appeals before the Supreme Court.
7 states were slated for hearing and determination from Monday, the 13th of January. But by Tuesday, the 14th of January, the panel of justices, led by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, had to begin to run down the number of states. This is based on the time which the appeals from each of the states would elapse. Only Kano on Tuesday had a hearing, and it has so far been fixed. That's the judgment for Kano has so far been fixed for Monday the 20th of January. But thereafter, each state had to begin to take its turn based on the day its case would elapse. Imo State is currently being determined now, and interestingly, Imo has 3 appeals before the Supreme Court. That is, appeals coming from the various personalities that have contested on various platforms: Hope Uzodinma, Uche Nwosu, and several other persons who would have their day at the Supreme Court. Now, one issue that cropped up on Tuesday during the hearing was the time lapse given by the Constitution for the cases to be determined. Now, this was supposed to cure an error in some of our electoral matters, the time when elections were taking 3 years to be determined. But then, the time that has been given this time is also hurting the process of giving justice to each of the appellants. The Chief Justice of Nigeria has therefore called for another look at the time lapse given for the determination of each of the electoral cases, starting from the petition, then to the Court of Appeal and to the Supreme Court. For the Court of Appeal, it has 60 days, and the Supreme Court also 60 days to hear and determine the appeals. This seems to be too small a time, according to the Chief Justice of Nigeria, to have a good scrutiny of the petitions. For now, we are crossing our fingers to see what the appeals would look like because of the number of states that are before the the Supreme Court. Those are the issues for now at the Supreme Court, and we're expecting that in the coming days, a number of states will be determined whether their election would be upheld or be quashed. That is the update from the Supreme Court. I am Femi Okewo, returning you to the studios.
Femi Okewo there on the appeal. Like we told you earlier, the Supreme Court has set aside the election of Governor Emeka Ihedioha of Imo State, orders INEC to issue a certificate of return to Hope Uzodinma of the APC as duly elected governor. Moving on, the House of Representatives has directed that the planned upward review of electricity tariff be put on hold. The directive was handed down during a stakeholders meeting convened by the House of Representatives Committee on Power. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The meeting was to address developments in the power sector, the recent of which is the proposed increase of electricity tariff by electricity distribution companies in Nigeria to take effect from April 2020. The House Committee on Power expressed disappointment over what it calls several unresolved issues in the power sector, such as estimated billing and inadequate prepaid meters for customers, insisting that there has to be uniformity with respect to rates charged Nigerians by the discos.
Nigerians are complaining now that they are complaining about the minor review. And I'm equally complaining because I know that I pay expected billing. And every day I receive an average of 50 petitions on the discourse in my table.
Officials from the Federal Ministry of Power and the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, during questioning, could not provide answers on where specifically it was stated in the Power Sector Reform Act that electricity tariff be periodically reviewed.
The major review is being handled by Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, which is an agency under the ministry.
As it is now, the government told us that by April, it wants to commence a process of gradually reducing the support it is giving. And we have to tighten our belt and start paying more.
The committee pointed out that the National Assembly has passed a bill criminalizing estimated billing and is awaiting presidential assent, adding that any review should be suspended until the bill becomes law. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
And for trending stories in the financial sector, let's join on NGA Fine Face.
President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the constitution of 2 committees for the Mambila Hydroelectric Power Project in Taraba State. He approved the Interministerial Steering Committee and Project Delivery Committee for the 2 trillion naira power project. The Minister of Power, Salim Maman, is to chair the Interministerial Steering Committee, while the Director in charge of Renewable Energy in the Federal Ministry of Power will head the Project Delivery Committee. Special Assistant to the Minister of Power on Media and Communications, Aaron Atima, said members of the Inter-Ministerial Steering Committee were representatives of federal government agencies and the Taraba State government. The agencies include Ministries of Water Resources, Environment, Finance, Budget and National Planning, Works and Housing, Justice, Information and Culture, as well as Mines and Steel Development. Others include representatives of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, National Security Advisor, Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority, and the Nigeria Customs Service. The terms of reference of the Inter-Ministerial Steering Committee include facilitating and fast-tracking the execution and project delivery of the Mambila Hydroelectric Power Project. Away now from the Mambila Power Project, 13 commercial banks listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange paid 136.84 billion naira in taxes to the Federal Inland Revenue Service in the 9-month period ended September 30, 2019. Data obtained from the financial statements of the banks for the period under review showed that the amount was 17% higher than the 112.86 billion naira tax expense recorded for the corresponding period of 2018. That's business. I'm Onengiye Fineface.
You're still watching the news on NT International, reaching you live from Abuja. Let's take a breather now. We'll be right back.
Are you not supposed to be? Get up.
Bros. Now my house you go dey watch television. Go TV don. Run now, run.
The subject, your coconut.
What y'all cooking? Oh, let me see them.
What's in there? I just say something that happened for this compound.
Na ginger, na jolly. Go TV just run one new package wey dey call Go TV ginger, and na for small money.
Later I get new package. They call am Go TV jolly. Everybody get your own to pick.
My people, now double bus and they happen for this compound.
Move up to Go TV Jolly with 68 plus channels for 2,400 naira per month, or move up to Go TV Ginger with 47 plus channels for only 1,600 naira per month. All of us be Go TV family. Make we enjoy them together.
NTA International News. Africa as it is.
Thanks for staying with us. A new vista of leadership discovering talents amongst the growing population of Nigeria is receiving the endorsement of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA. This happened when the Governing Board of Nigerian Prize for Leadership called on the management of NTA. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports.
The space for grooming future generation leaders and rewarding patriotism keeps widening with commitment from accomplished Nigerians to utilize available human resources for national development. This time around, a new platform championed by prominent Nigerians is developing a workable successive plan in identifying leadership qualities and awarding productivity in all spheres with NTA as the strategic partner.
Institute a credible process of identifying Nigerians who have indeed excelled in their fields through outstanding leadership performance relevant to the development of the people and the nation. It targets Nigerians of all ages who have shown credible, exemplary, remarkable and sustainable success, prowess, creativity and skills in their various endeavors through compelling personal, corporate and social values.
We have to pay attention to this, and there is no better way of really getting this through except through the people who have a tremendous network like the NTA. It's not because I belong part of this, but I say, now look, we have to go to the father of media.
In presenting programs to Nigeria and the world, I think you are better placed to help to do this.
One of the most important resolutions you take before you become a member is that you are going to be dispassionate. No interest at all in anybody or anything.
The assemblage of reputable personalities is described as promising in driving a credible leadership framework. The Nigerian Television Authority pledges its support to the actualization of the vision through its numerous platforms to demonstrate the importance attached to the national project.
These leaders, they really know the direction. Why did I say so? They said in all the media organizations, this is the first. We will take you seriously because you have
contributed to the body of knowledge. You have got a lot of broad experience.
The Director General of NTA, Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, caught up with the delegation and parley on essential areas of promoting core objectives of the initiative. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
And out to health, a zero hepatitis Nigeria is possible, so says the Nigerian Hepatitis Zero Foundation. But how can this be achieved? On-Engage Fine Face reports that this poser is central to the 5th Mike Omoto Show lecture, organized in increasing the Hepatitis Zero campaign in Nigeria.
Hepatitis, which is inflammation of the liver, is said to be a major killer the world over. Nigeria aims to achieve a hepatitis-free society. But how visible is this?
All key stakeholders are here so that we can all know what we need to be doing towards achieving zero hepatitis by the year 2030. So with 10 years to the target, it is still very possible, but of course it's a very daunting task, but it is achievable.
Now, achieving zero hepatitis in Nigeria, let's say, involves creating awareness for all citizens to understand the need to know their status.
Majority of Nigerians are not even aware of the deadly nature of hepatitis, especially hepatitis B. We need to take this information to the grassroots using the NOAA robust, expansive platforms in the local governments.
Beyond the awareness, residents also advised to undergo screening, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Now, the outcome of the screening will determine whether the next step is to be vaccinated or to undergo management for those that may be positive of the virus.
It's better to prevent something you are already aware, to be aware of something and prevent it from happening than spend too much on cure.
The Mike Omoto Show Foundation 5th lecture series for 2020 is focused on achieving this hepatitis-free society. The Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, is among a few organizations recognized for their support in achieving hepatitis-free Nigeria. In Abuja, On-Engage Fine Face. NTA News.
Away from health, the Buhari media organization says the airstrike that killed Amir Khalifa Umar, the chief judge and the number 3 man in the hierarchy of the Islamic State West Africa province, ISWAP, is a significant victory in the war against insurgency in the northeast. The Buhari media organization believes that our troops and those of the multinational joint task force deserve encomiums for this notable achievement. The group lauded the Buhari administration for its immense support in logistics and welfare for the troops, without which these tremendous achievements would not have been possible. In a statement signed by its chairman, Niyi Akinsiju, and Secretary Kasidi Madwike, the group said that the death of the key ISWAP figure is a major milestone in the war against terror. It noted that the military action that killed Umar is similar to how the United States launched an airstrike that took out Abu Musab al-Zakawi, an associate of the Al-Qaeda founder Osama bin Laden, in 2006. And in other news, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Haja Sadia Umar Farouk, said that the federal government is open to partnership and collaborations in the areas of humanitarian affairs, disaster management and social development with agencies and governments. Stated this during a meeting with the Ambassador of the United Arab Emirates, His Excellency Fahad Obeid At-Tafak, in Abuja. She said the 3 specific components, humanitarian intervention, disaster management, as well as social development, are areas the ministry needs technical support to actualize its mandates. The minister added that we also need support in the area of empowerment of our displaced and vulnerable population in the society. The minister mentioned that the social intervention program of the federal government has 4 thematic areas such as the school feeding program, conditional cash transfer, NPAP program, and JIP. These are areas that the ministry also need collaboration with partners. She commended the Embassy of the United Arab Emirates for supporting the government of Nigeria in humanitarian issues and looked forward to more collaboration in the years ahead. Earlier, the Ambassador of the United Arab Emirates disclosed that the UAE Embassy has executed several programs and impacted more than 22,000 lives in Nigeria and is willing to do more. And the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, says the setting up of the paramilitary organization called Amotekun is illegal and runs contrary to the provisions of the Nigerian law. A statement by the Special Assistant Media to the Minister, Umar Jibril, said that the minister explained that Nigeria is a sovereign entity and is governed by laws meant to sustain its corporate existence as a constitutional democracy. The statement added that the Office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice was not consulted on the matter. If it had, proper information and guidance would have been offered to ensure that Nigeria's defense and corporate entity are preserved at all times. It is a federation of states, but with the federal government superintending over matters of national interest, the division of executive and legislative authority between the federal and state governments has been clearly defined by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. It is against the same background that matters relating to the peace, order and good government of the Federation, and in particular the defense of the country, are enshrined in the exclusive legislative list. As a consequence of this, no state government, whether singly or in a group, has the legal right and competence to establish any form of organization or agency for the defense of Nigeria or any of its constituent parts. This is sanctioned by the provision of Item 45 of the Second Schedule of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. And before we go, let's take a quick look at the weather prospect. And that ends the news. That is, thank you so much for being a part of it. Don't forget to join us at 9 p.m. for the network news.